Like many of you, when I went into the challenge tiers for the expeditions, I went in rather underleveled. In fact, most of my gear was around 35, 36, and that's probably on average. I had a few pieces that were higher and some pieces that were lower. However, that really didn't stop me in this build from progressing through it, at least through the early stages of the challenge tiers. But of course, as the challenge tiers got higher, it quickly became obvious that I really needed to upgrade my gear. Now, this build is a hybrid build. I really wanted something that felt different, that felt unique, and my whole goal with the build was just to play something that I really wanted to play. I wanted to play a skill build that used his skills to buff his damage. So I wanted to use my skills to enhance my firepower. That was pretty much it, and with this build I think I've done a really good job. Now, of course, being a hybrid build, it's not going to do the damage of a pure DPS build, and it's not going to do the skill damage of a pure skill build. But I think the middle ground where I've kind of gone fits in really well with the way that I want to play. Now, to just quickly explain the rotation and kind of the theme of the build. So when I go into a fight, obviously I cast volcanic rounds. Now, volcanic rounds does cause the enemy to catch fire, so it inflicts the burn status effect. However, what it also does is it increases my anomaly powers by like 25%. And not only does this extra anomaly power boost my skills that I have, but it also boosts my burn, and of course the volcanic rounds just helps me apply burn quicker and deal more damage. The next thing that I do is after I've sprayed down an entire room, spraying and praying, hip firing, that kind of thing, maybe doing some aiming, I then use Feed the Flames. Now, not only can this heal me, not only can this replenish my ammo, but it also, again, increases my anomaly power. And of course, my anomaly power increases my weapon damage, and my anomaly power increases my burn. So again, further increasing my damage. But now, with the combination of the increased anomaly power from my volcanic rounds and my Feed the Flames, that's when I cast Overheat. So I get a big boost to Overheat, which allows me to generally kill a lot of the weaker, single red bar enemies. But then because of my skill tree, Overheat is also increasing my weapon damage. Everything that I'm doing is constantly increasing my damage, constantly increasing my anomaly power or my firepower. Now, what this allows me to do is instead of, wasting a lot of my weapon damage on smaller creatures, I can use my burn to take out the lower level enemies or the weaker enemies. Then I can use my weapon damage to just directly face tank with the stronger bosses or the captains. And so this kind of helps mitigate my weapon damage loss from a pure DPS build, because instead of having to take out a lot of the peskier little enemies, I can spray them down and then focus on the bosses for longer without having to divert my attention. Now, looking at the skill tree real quick, I am pretty evenly spread across the board. I want to have a little bit of everything, because investing into a little bit of tankiness just allows me to survive up close encounters. Having that anomaly power increases my weapon damage and increases my burn damage. And then, of course, investing directly into weapon damage allows me to take out the bigger enemies that much quicker. Like I was talking about, Inferno bullets increase my firepower based on my anomaly power. So the more anomaly power I have, the better my weapon damage can be. Of course, with fire and rifle just directly increases my weapon damage whenever I use an explosive skill. And of course, Hot Situation increases my anomaly power by 45% whenever I use my immobilize skills. And this trend, of course, continues into my weapon. Now I am using a 150 round LMG, and my first talent is Anomaly Enhancement, which increases my firepower, again based on my anomaly power. In this case, it is 30% of my anomaly power. My second talent is Death Chains, which just enhances my spray and pray abilities, so I can constantly just deal this large short-term status effect damage on enemies. Now, obviously it's not a status effect, but it kind of functions that way. My headgear's first talent is Bullet Absorption, and this just allows me to constantly replenish ammo into my magazine. My second talent is Stand Tall, which again increases my anomaly power and my firepower. For my upper armor, my first talent is Lava Shots, and this is what allows my volcanic rounds to increase my anomaly power by 25%. My second talent is Perseverance Shield, and what this does is it gives me a shield whenever I drop to 30% health. This is great in case I take unexpected damage or get surrounded. I get a brief window to at least heal up before taking fatal damage. My lower armor does have a little bit of damage mitigation here. I've got damage absorber. I did change this one out. It used to be the whenever you kill an enemy that's on fire, you'd get armor. So this being a more permanent one, I definitely, prefer it. And of course, I've got adrenaline on there, which just reduces my cooldowns, allowing me to heal faster or deal more damage whenever I reach that 30% threshold. My gloves have radiation flames on them, and this is again another source of damage mitigation for me. It basically lowers the amount of damage that enemies are doing to me by I think 30%. So this again just helps keep me alive because I'm constantly spraying volcanic rounds and it's pretty easy to apply. My second talent is bullet kindling, which just allows me to deal 20% more damage to burning enemies. And of course, most enemies that I shoot are going to be burning. My last piece of armor, foot gear, the first talent is going to be wide grip. Now, I did actually upgrade this one to the tier 3 version. That enables me to basically absorb 2 targets instead of 1. So in total, I can hit 3 targets with it, which means that even if I'm at 0 ammo on my LMG, I will get 150 rounds back if I hit 3 targets. My second talent is Move Groove, again playing into my Anomaly Power, Firepower synergy. Now like I've been saying, this is definitely a hybrid build. It doesn't deal the most damage with the weapon, it doesn't deal the most damage with the skills, but it has a lot of crowd control abilities, it has a good amount of tankiness, it deals acceptable amount of damage, at least enough to get me through content. And of course the way that I do that is by combining my Anomaly Power to boost my Firepower, using my Anomaly Power and my status attributes to increase my burn damage, using that burn damage to then deal with most of these smaller enemies so I don't have to focus on them, and then of course being able to direct my full attention on the bigger enemies. So while I do understand that volcanic rounds are probably the current meta for any pyro build, I do think that this build feels and plays a lot different than the normal playstyle for it. And one of the advantages I would say for this build is it's console player friendly. Now I've seen a lot of these videos where people are just using the full ash tree, and they're really getting a lot of this damage based on them spraying directly into the head or the weak spot, getting the crit damage multipliers. Well, of course, if you are on console, you know that it is a lot harder to aim, and especially in this game, it is even more difficult to aim. So this build kind of gives you a little bit of leeway in case you have, clunky aiming. I don't have to deal with the individual enemies, spray and pray a big mass group, and then pick the big enemies to focus on. That makes it a little bit easier for me, makes it a little bit more friendly for controllers. Now currently on my live character, I have made it to challenge tier 14. Unfortunately, I'm just kind of really underleveled with my gear. I still need to do a good amount of farming for my titanium to increase my competitiveness in the game. But overall, since this is pretty much what I've been working towards, what I've been using since, the early teens on this character, I'm rather happy that everything's pretty much held true, everything's worked out really well. Now, of course, like I said, it's not the biggest, flashiest damage dealer there is, but for me, it works and I enjoy it. Anyway, guys, that'll be it for me. That'll be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.